Good morning, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Somebody give me a sound check. Let me know if you guys hear me okay. If everything is coming out. Let's make sure that we are okay. We have about a 10-second delay on this, so I just want to make sure that we're good to go. Good morning, guys. Good morning. Give me in chat. Um, say hi to me. Sound is good. Video is good, right? We're hanging in there. Really choppy day today, guys, and very dangerous trade. So my recommendation is trade very small, and be very cautious. I do have a couple of interesting thoughts just on kind of like our BFF scalp pattern in terms of what I think is working, what isn't working right now. But generally, I've got to tell you that almost nothing is working well. It's in a setup that looks for continuation. Today is really a day of chop and um, complete reversals. I'm just sorry. I'm just looking. I'm looking at all my stuff here and my other stuff, and it's just definitely very choppy here in terms of reversals. Hang on a second. I'm trying to just get everything organized here. One, this is 2, 4, 8. Okay. All right. Yes, so the markets are just incredibly choppy, very ugly trade. And it's all because, we're all on pins and needles. Let me pull up this thread because this is a very interesting thread here. Hang on, let me find it. Where is this thread? Okay, here's the thread. Hang on. I want to put this on. Let's see if you guys see it. Okay, so I'm going to read the thread to you. Okay, whether it's true or not is a big deal, because if this is true, I think this is a big deal. So this guy says, I'm standing in line at my polling place. Poll worker just came out, announced that Allegheny County didn't send the necessary paperwork for one of the 2 districts at the polling location, and one of the necessary officials hasn't shown up yet. So Allegheny County is Pittsburgh, which is a very battleground county. So it used to be blue, now it's kind of half blue, half red. And he says this is unacceptable. Remember that the Republicans vote on election day. Democrats tend to vote by mail ballots. So any type of interference on election day, any type of delay, any type of problems creates a legal precedent for lots and lots of basically for lawsuits saying that that people were denied their constitutional right to vote. So they're encouraging people to use provisional ballots if they don't want to wait. The shenanigans have begun. So the problem is provisional ballots that have to be counted. We're being told that the county didn't send the poll book and they can't start voting until they have it. Just been informed that the elections judge for the district didn't show up. Poll workers have called the county 6 times since 6:15 a.m. have yet to receive a callback. Judge finally showed up 40 minutes late. More to come on him later. All of this, if you're sort of, whether you're Republican or a Democrat, you just as an American citizen, this is a true affront to the democracy. You have to understand that the election in this country of 350 million people is literally 10,000 votes up and down at this point. That's how tight it is under our constitutional system. It was decided by 60,000 votes in 2020. It was decided by 70,000 votes in 2024. So, excuse me, in 2016 and 2020. So, all of this is just the kind of shit you don't want to read. You have to let people vote properly. You have to let the systems work properly. The very fact that nothing is working in the morning is problematic. And, we'll have to see whether this resolves itself quickly or whether this is going to be something that people are going to collect evidence on and contest. My point being is that unless it's an absolute slam dunk on the electoral college. So in other words, I don't know, I've thought basically that this is going to tip either one way or the other. Either everybody floods at the end of the day Harris, or everybody floods at the end of the day Trump. But Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just going to be a battle of a battle to to the death between the two. And if it is, if we sort of see Michigan go one way, Wisconsin go the other way, all of this stuff is going to really matter, because if it's tight, neither side will concede this election. It's absolutely clear that there will be no concession whatsoever if we're within 50 electoral votes of each other. That's how wide it has to be. It would have to be 50 votes or greater for each side to concede, because within those 50 votes, it could be 10,000 votes one way or 10,000 votes the other way. So, I just think it's it's really setting ourselves up for a very interesting week as we go forward, unless we have, just as I said, a complete tilt going the other way. It's definitely going to be a interesting day for ahead. Probably a lot more drama than we think. Yeah, Trump will not concede, but I don't think Harris will concede either. I don't think people understand, or just the amount of enmity there is between the two camps. Nobody's going to concede. Nobody. It's not a question of one is going to concede, the other one is playing fair. Nobody's going to play fair. Nobody's going to concede. Nobody's going to allow this to be the other side to win in any way, shape, or form. The point being is that on election day, you have to make elections free and unfettered. And if you have all these problems and people are unable to vote, that is a complete suppression of people's constitutional rights. It's the single most important thing. The governments should be well prepared. I mean, the very fact that the judge is 40 minutes late, he should be in jail for that, in my opinion. It's literally the single most important constitutional rights that a citizen in America has. And that if the state is unable and unresponsive, should really be in jail. It's a much greater crime than any kind of a bank robbery or something else, because that's an individual crime, whereas this is really a crime against the republic if you're not able to allow people to vote. So I think it's going to be very, very contentious. So we'll have to see. Anyways, as far as the markets go, nothing is going on. The irony of the whole thing is that the drama on politics is actually completely counterbalanced by incredibly boring market price action. But I will say this: that one of the things that I'm sort of I'm warning you ahead of time that virtually none of the setups that we're trading are going to work well. I'll be shocked if they work very well today, because everything is just one step forward, two steps backwards. But we are going to. I'm just going to actually sell this right now. We are going to trade, my scalp setup with an interesting twist on the price action. I kind of wanted to share this with you. Not even, it's not even that this is working very well, but at least it's a start of how I want to try to scalp today's price action. And the idea here basically is that you obviously will always want to trade with trend. I want to be selling underneath the black line, the 200 period SMA, when it turns green, when it turns red. I want to be buying it when it's above here. Even that idea doesn't work nearly well today, because we kind of, the tops are dying out, the bottoms are dying out. But the one interesting thing that I think is worthwhile watching on the charts, if you notice this, let's take the S&P for example, is duration. What I mean by this is that the longer the trend stays above the black line or below the line, the likelier the possibility that there is some continuity in the price action, that we have some chance of hitting targets. So a rule of thumb that I'm using is I don't even look at, and it looks like my thesis bore itself out. What I look at right now, and I think the easiest way to show this to you guys is to do this visually. So I'm going to do, hang on, let me just change the color of this to black so you guys can see this better. Okay, so sort of an idea of what I'm talking about is this. We break above the 200 period SMA, and I don't even look at anything until there's at least 10 minutes. Hang on a second, let me do this one more time. Until there's like at least 10 minutes of price action have passed, right? So I need at least 10 minutes above the moving average, 10 minutes below the moving average before I even, want to get involved. Only then once I've kind of held the moving average, do I want to get involved? And in this case, I probably wouldn't have taken this trade because it's, maybe it's a little too close, but I would have taken this trade, right? So you want to take the trade, because what is this basically showing you? It's showing you that the persistence of trend over time is giving us a sense of continuity, right? A sense of continuity. So in this particular case, continuity generally in a halfway decent scalp trend that we can extract one or two winning trades from is about an hour. If we can get an hour's worth of prices floating above 200 period SMA, we can make one or two. Sorry, guys. Oh, I'm going to be sneezing, so just my apologies. We can make one or two quality scalp trades over here. So this basically slice of trend started 526 and didn't really end until 720. It was almost a 2-hour trend. Within it, you had at least one or, if you sort of started this trend 20, 30 minutes afterwards, you give it 20, 30 minutes of then, you had one good trade over here, you had one good trade over here. So you had like two, maybe even three. This one, the third one actually died out, just to show you how weak it is in terms of trend, right? Then you had a modestly, doable trend here that lasted to the downside, that lasted basically, was that an hour, right? And within that, after the first 10 minutes, if you took this trade, that worked out. This trade did not, but this trade did work out, right? So it's not like it's working great, but at least 2 out of 3, not bad. We can repair the second one. The first one seems to be pretty good. The point being is you have to give yourself a little time before you start to say, yeah, this is a trend I want to scalp. Like right now, price clearly to the downside. What time is it? No, we got about 5 minutes before the open. If they kind of stay here for another 10 minutes after the open, the shorts are going to be a good probability for at least maybe another couple of minutes. In a day when you have really beautiful trends, these trends will last for 2, 3, 4 hours, and then you have 4 or 5 consecutive winning trades within that situation. Today, it's a very choppy trend where we're going up, going down, going down. So you kind of have to just give it your best chance. And even within that structure, like this just totally failed, right? So you had an uptrend 829. You gave it 20 minutes. You try to take this trade and it just died out. You took this to the long side. It just didn't work. So you had to wait for the next trade to repair itself. But overall, as long as you don't have instant switches from 20 minutes up, 20 minutes down, if you have like an hour long, 2 hour long continuity price moves underneath the 200 period SMA, you have a reasonable chance of scalping 2 or 3 quality trades your way. So yeah, thank you guys. Today is definitely a sit on your hands day, but if you're going to trade, I guess my point is, if you're going to trade today, then you should absolutely trade with these thoughts in mind, that you want to trend this. And then add to that, by the way, something like NASDAQ, which isn't going to respect even any of this. So NASDAQ, for example, here you had a big sell-off. We've actually been underneath the trend for 8:57 to about 20 minutes already, definitely more than 10 minutes of our time. But you see how it's spiked, taking this signal over here would have stopped you out, because this is just NASDAQ. It just retraces. On the other hand, maybe this signal, we'll see. If this holds, this is a, legitimately decent sell signal, because we're basically, under my thesis here, we've had 20 minutes underneath the 20 period SMA. Trend is to the downside. I want to be on the side of the trend as long as this stays red. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. It's not a signal. So I'll trade this if it gives me a signal. If it doesn't, we'll have to ignore it. But we have to be. My point is, you have to be very, very patient. You have to give yourself a little time to make sure that you actually have a trend in place. Like something like this, where we had a uptrend for about 10 minutes, not really much, very, very close, and finally we had we moved up here. If you sort of count from here to here, that's more than a 20-minute continuous uptrend. So this signal was a pretty good signal take up. The next signal was a pretty good signal take up. That's pretty much all you can do. Two signals in a trend that's been going on for about 20, 30 minutes. That's all you can do as a structure, right? All right, let's see if we're getting a sell signal here. So far, no. So far, no. Let's go back to the S&P here for a second. We'll keep them both on the charts here. But so far, not much is going on here. Let me see what you guys are saying to me. Oh, thank you, Marissa. Will upcoming PMI data move the markets? I doubt it, but let's take a look at when that's scheduled to go. Let's see when the calendar is. It's just, it's definitely worthwhile for us to keep an eye on it. It was actually be interesting to see if there's a slowdown or not on this story here. Yeah, we'll see with 9:45, 10 o'clock. Definitely worth for us to keep an eye on this whole thing. But as you see, the markets are just really when price action makes 5-6 moves around the 200-period SMA. In other words, it visits it, revisits it, goes up and down, goes up and down. That's when you have just chopped conditions, and it's just not worth trading. You're just basically just getting chopped up and down, left and right on all these trades. So, what else want to ask you? What are you guys trading? What have you guys been having success with? Or actually, you know what? Let's do a poll while we're kind of waiting for markets to open. Let's my favorite instrument. Let's see what you guys say. My favorite instrument. And I'm going to give you 3. I'm going to say gold, NASDAQ, and we'll just say ES US 30, because depending on how you it's the same product essentially. Let's see what you guys like trading. Give it a shot. Give it some votes. Bitcoin, yeah, you can't. We don't really scalp Bitcoin. It's impossible to trade that. All right, what time is it? 9:30, 9:29, 23 seconds. Market's opening up. I definitely don't want to get involved on the first 5 minutes of rotation because it's just going to be a chop city trade. But let's see now. Let's see what's going on over here. You see how every 20 minutes the price just simply goes around the moving average, just boop, boop, boop. When you have that type of price action, it's murder for any type of continuity setups. It's just all right. We're opening up. Hard to tell what anybody wants to do here. Big pop on NASDAQ, kind of reversal move, right? Which I kind of think is, whoa, look at that move, 30-point move on NASDAQ. This is a good way to test our thesis today. We have a big pop on indices, right? Above 200-period SMA. If this is a fake out, in the next 10 minutes, it'll come back right down to the moving average. If it's not, it will hold for at least 10 minutes, and then it's going to give us some opportunities to maybe trade long on the setup. But if this is just a pump and dump, it's going to come right back to the moving average. So we'll see. Big pops through the 200 level. Wow. Really, really big pops. Interesting. Trying to see if there's anything on, if somebody's. Huh. All right. This, one of the interesting things about the election, of course, many of you notice is, huh, this is interesting. Yeah. So there's a massive, massive, massive gender gap in this election. And honestly, it's really a question of who wins the gender gap that wins this election. So the basic data science is that if it's a 10% gender gap, in other words, 10% more women than men, if Harris has a 10% spread on women against of men against women, she will lose. If she has a 13% spread, she generally will win. There's more women than men in the voting population, and a 13% spread to her most likely will tip all of the swing states towards her. Which is what, by the way, the other thing is why polls are just completely useless, because clearly men are, I know very few men that are voting for her. I know you're gonna argue with me, but my opinion doesn't matter, because obviously my pool, it's just simply conversations with guys, so I don't have any scientific sampling. But it really feels like the men are really voting for him, the women are voting for her, and they're not talking about it at home. There's certainly a story in my house where it's just a war every day. So I'm sure it's probably common in every other house. So it's just a question of whether the other big question is, while men say they're voting for him, are they actually doing it? Are they going to the ballot box and actually voting? Because men tend to be much less committed than women are to voting, and that's the other big thing as far as the voting goes. So we'll see. I'm just scrolling. I have ZH on because they're usually very, very fast on whatever is breaking down. So, but right now they don't have anything going on here. We are holding above trend. What is it? 9:34 for 5 minutes. So if we're gonna hold for about 10 minutes, it's a pretty legitimate breakout, and we should be looking for to buy any green triangles that we get over here. But we need to kind of trade ourselves around it. But you can see overall it's a really, really choppy day. And that's natural because nobody wants to lay down a lot of bets. I'm actually, what's interesting? Let's go see what Kalshi has. I'm just looking at, I just want to see if the betting markets have moved at all in any way, shape, or form. They tend that's interesting because they were much tighter yesterday. Now they're moving. Now I'm going to take that with a grain of salt because betting markets only reflect what people think, not what actually they do. But yeah, they really moved. Wow, they really moved towards him a lot. That's interesting. So we'll see. We'll see if that has any impact. Bottom line is, I think nobody knows, and I think it's going to be a very very protracted fight here. How are we voting? How are we voting? The voting. Please vote in the polls here. Everybody loves gold. I'm not surprised. Gold has been really the golden child. Has been the beautiful, beautiful trade in so many different ways. Let's take a look at gold. By the way, do we have any? So here's a good example. I'm sorry, I didn't get it. I was focusing on indices. Should have been talking to you a little bit about gold here. This is a great example of what I mean of if we're staying above trend for about, at least we started at 827, so at least 10 minutes. There's some continuity going on here. But even here, by the way, I have to caution you. Even if you do have continuity, it doesn't necessarily mean the first trade is going to work. Because if you're buying it at 55.8, right, it comes all the way down to, if we're doing a 2-point stop, it could stop us out before it kind of resumes the trend to the upside. So even when you have that model, it's not necessarily super easy to make that model work. But at least you have a reasonable chance here that the probability is higher than lower that you're going to succeed. So far, I have no signals here on gold. S&P continues to hold above bid here. It's interesting, it broke out to the upside. I guess I don't know. The betting markets have moved hard towards him. The markets seem to we're selling off, and now they started to move up. Maybe somebody's hearing something, or maybe it's just just all guesswork. It's nobody really knows anything on this thing. So I'm just watching NASDAQ and watching. NASDAQ is really starting to pull away. Wow, really big moves on NASDAQ here. So let's see if it can consolidate and retrace and give us a chance to enter on a rebound. Same with gold. If gold goes red, then goes green, that's going to give us a signal to go long on gold. We'll try to take that signal. What have you guys been trading today? Anything? Anybody having any success, or you guys just been sitting on your hands doing not much? DJT, you've been trading that? No. Silver, gold, yeah. I mean, that's really been the smart trades. Everything else has just been total chop fest. See, this is NASDAQ, right? And obviously, look at NASDAQ. If you sort from 4 o'clock onward, you can really see what I mean here about not having just trading around the line. Although you did have some. This is another cool thing. You do have relatively decent continuity slices during Asia, which is ironically enough, I think a really interesting time frame to trade. But if you look at yesterday, right? Here, you break out, and it really holds for quite a while here, from basically 10:20 to all the way to 11:30. But a full hour. You had some really good upside trades over here. Then you had at least one good downside trade. This one stopped you out, but then it holds underneath the moving average. this kind of works to the downside. This works to the downside. And eventually, once it starts to break up above here, this dies out. I mean, none of this works. This fails. This sort of fails. This is one of those. This is a very, very good thing to watch. This is kind of a very toxic pattern, and it's really hard to trade with this pattern because it looks like it's staying above trend, but it's not really making any continuity moves above trend, right? So this trade, 30 minutes above trend or 20 minutes above trend, fails, right? The next one actually was at 56. I guess this one does work on a continuity basis. So you could have done that. This one fails. This one fails, and this one, it takes you 2 or 3 times before you get some continuity moves here, and then eventually it starts to die out. Then it gets, then we go negative for about 20 minutes before you get a signal. That signal works, and then next signal over here, that signal also kind of works. Maybe this one retraces if you have a short stop, but the next one, the next one works. The point being is, you really have to just be very persistent. You get stopped out, you go, once you get the signal again, you got to go right back in. You have to absolutely adhere to the setup and not let a couple of stop outs pop you up. The interesting thing, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in the next couple of weeks. My whole view of all of this is the only way to combat these type of markets, right? If you're going to trade continuity and you want to combat these type of markets, is to actually trade ultra small, trade consistently, meaning, I get stopped out, I wait for the next setup, I get larger, I trade again. I get stopped out, I wait for the next setup, I get larger. But to succeed in that type of format, you have to trade ultra small, which means you have to go to micro contracts instead of mini contracts on the 50,000. Maybe trade even $10 trades, and the game plan in that environment, it's a little bit tedious and a little bit boring, but it is a very, very viable game plan. Is to try to make 100, 150 net a day, and just give yourself 20, 30 days to get funded. Trading small, you never, the problem with trading large in a choppy market is that even if you control your risk, you just get 2, 3. You only have maybe about 4 to 5 stop outs, regardless of how careful you are, before you're going to get yourself into a deep drawdown that's going to be really, really hard to come back from. Because just because one NASDAQ contract, $200 stop, you get 5 or 6 of those in a row, you minus $1,200, $1,300. You're halfway down towards your drawdown. It's going to be hard to come back on small wins. Then you're going to try and go for big wins, and of course, that's always going to be a crapshoot. Big win, then it becomes essentially I'm either lucky and that trade works, or I'm unlucky and I get stopped out. Whereas if you're trading $20, $30 trades, even if you're down 2, 3 trades in a row, you can come back with size, make it all back reasonably, and make 100, 150 for the day. It's not, it's not sexy, but where it is sexy is if you do that process on 5 accounts that are on Trade Copier, which is really going to be the next adventure that I'm going to try and do with you guys next week. I just talked to the guys at Apex. They're going to set me up with Trade Copier. It's going to be really interesting to see. And I think that's where you really have the power, because you have both the power of size, meaning that you're not going to be ever vulnerable to getting stopped out because your size is small. But at the same time, you have the power to amplify by using the Trade Copier and not really getting hurt on any 1 or 2 negative trades, when the price action is just going against you. I'm looking at NASDAQ right now. It's still negative zone, but like we're up for more than 10 minutes above the moving average. Same thing with the S&P. Let's see if the S&P gives us a buy signal here. And if it does, we'll take it, and we'll see if we can make that trade work. Oh wow, Enzo is so nice. He says, "Okay, we got a trade here in uh, S&P. I'm long at. Let me make sure I'm long. I'm long at 68.25. Target is 69.25. Stop is 66.25. Maybe it holds. I mean, this obviously, um, it's a brutal environment where every breakout is a fake out. So we might have to eat this, but this is a reasonable trade. And if it doesn't work, I can go larger size. Frankly, it's too big a size. Like I realized that in this type of choppy market where you may need 2, 3, sometimes even 4 attempts at trying to resolve a trade, this might be too large a starting a size. But I'm starting with a single contract here, and hoping I only need two trades to resolve it. But um, you know, uh, it's a viable signal, right? It's a viable signal, even if it doesn't work, even if it kind of dies out on a dying quail, as they say in baseball, where you get a breakout and it just becomes a fake out. Because the whole idea here is to trade continuity and trend, and whether this one works or not, the next one or the one after that is going to work, and that's going to put the odds in our favor. There's a great saying. I got to go find it. I just watching the trade. Let's watch the trade a little bit. Let's see what it does for us, and then we'll see. Hang on a second. I actually wanted to see what Nasdaq is doing. Well, Nasdaq. Look at Nasdaq. Just already faked this out. I'm glad we didn't even take the Nasdaq trade. Nasdaq is just a much harder trade to do because it's a true dying. You look at this big move up, fake out. The next one up, though, if we get a next green candle, it might be worth trading for us, because that was okay. So we actually got lucky. The S&P did fill our trade, and we did make the point here. Now we can watch Nasdaq and see if the Nasdaq is going to give us a green triangle. So far, no. Watching 20 seconds left. I may go back again. It's sort of my only worry about this. I hate this. Look at that. It's just popping so hard up that our stop is just too tight for a retrace. I'm gonna pass up on this just because it's too big a candle. One of the rules, it's probably going to work, but I just I don't want to take the risk in this very, very choppy environment. Basically the rule of thumb is if the candle is as big as my stop, and this candle was actually bigger, 67 to what was it, candle 68 to, is that right, 74? Is that correct? It's like a 5-point candle. Not worth it for me to want to chase that kind of big breakout. Same thing here. This was a 30-point candle, and I have a 10-point stop. It would have worked, but I just I didn't want to press the trigger on this. But still, my point being is, you see how when it hangs above here, the upside is worth taking, even if it's the first trade or the second trade. Definitely worth taking. What was it? Let me find this quote. The race does not always go to the swift here. Yeah. Oh no, this is not from the Bible. It's from. But that's the way to bet. Hang on. That's the way. Way to bet. Yeah, this is it. I found it. Here it is. I'll bring it to you guys. Great quote. The race is not always to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, but that is the best way to bet. Damon Ryan, they attributed to Damon Runyon. But or the Bible, whoever it is. I'll copy and paste this into chat because I think this is, in a day like today when it's really, really hard to find good trades, it's really important to remember that maxim, um, that ultimately you always want to stay with a trend. PMI data came in lower, right? People are telling me PMI data came in a little soft, not really much softer, but a little bit softer. Let's see what the services comes in a little bit later. So lowest increase in output prices. I mean, all of this, I think, tells me the U.S. economy is slowing down. But the market likes all of this because it's obviously positive monetary policy and easing of rates here. So you see, gold did a big round trip higher, came all the way down here. It's tempting to want to take this trade, although we don't have a green triangle. But if gold really is going to sort of resume an uptrend here, it's much better to buy it somewhere around here. It'll come back down, come back up, and confirm that the trend is to the upside. Make it much easier for us to trade it. We'll come back to gold a little bit here. But my basic point is we want to be long above the black line as much as possible. We want to be short below the black line as much as possible within reason. The first couple of trades after about 20 minutes of breakout generally are always the best ones. And that's probably where we want to put the most effort on. Willie, there's no robot class today. There's this Pass the Prop. By the way, let me just put up a few links for you guys. If you guys want the Apex discount, I'm not sure the discount is 80, but it's definitely 70% off with our discount. So please be sure to get the Apex discount. If you guys want my coaching will be today at 7 p.m. New York time. So that's the coaching link over here, and I'll email everybody the invite. Markets like the weak price data, and I guess they're betting. I mean, if you're using betting markets as a proxy, they're betting on a Trump win. I have absolutely no vibe on that at all. I think, yesterday I tweeted out that because I have like a left wing thread and a right wing thread because I like to obviously look at what everybody is saying, and it was literally like a masterclass in disinformation. Everybody was 100% convinced that their side was winning. So I've just decided. Oh, this is interesting. Let's see what he says. I'm still rooting for Harris, but this is a interesting argument for why a Trump win would be better for Europe in the long run. What does he say? Not an easy piece to write, but only Trump is likely to jolt the EU out of its malaise. I agree. I think Europe is literally on suicide watch, and the only true leader in Europe is Giorgia Meloni, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Because they are just a disaster at this point. Oh, wow. So that's a big story. I don't know if you guys know who ADM is. They're literally the biggest commodity trader in the world, and they just said that they're going to restate their earnings. They restate their numbers. Huh. It's not clear it's all corporate speak as to whether this is just simply a technicality they have to restate, or whether this is a serious amount of fraud. ADM down 10% today on that. Huh. So we continue to go higher. We don't have not giving us a chance to to get into these trades. This really, they really broke out nicely. How's gold doing? Is gold giving? Gold did. I should have taken this trade on gold. I was a little too cautious, but that was again, you know. So uh, how do you? I'm just trying to come up with good strategies for you guys. How do you minimize regret? Right? How do you minimize like this was a trade we should have taken. I didn't take it because I was a little wobbly because the price action was so shitty before him. I think the only way to minimize regret is trading small, because if you trade small, first of all, no loss is going to be terminal. But secondly, that even if this trade doesn't work, and as long as you stick to your paradigm, the next trade or the trade after that is going to work at larger size and help you recover, in an ideal situation, actually add to your P&L. But to do that, I mean, to have that approach, you like, for example, for a $50,000 Apex account, you have to completely change your methodology of how you trade. Like right now, I'm trading $50 trades on S&P, $100 trades on Nasdaq. That's way too large in order to be able to give myself many, many, many opportunities to repair and to win in the end. Because that's a key thing. It's I think that's something I realized. We all focus on the wrong thing. We focus on winning, when in trading, the actual secret to success is surviving. The longer you can stay alive, the higher your chances of winning. Because the very nature, as long as you keep repeating a trend setup over and over and over again without getting margined out and stopped out, that will rescue you at larger and larger size, because you're going to be right eventually. It's really about sampling how many times you're going to be right, not about being right now. It's the opposite of um, it's not about marrying Mr. Right Now. It's about doing the right thing. You know, um, so when we go into trade copier, we're going to go to micros. I'm going to trade much smaller, and then I'll be able to take like nobody cares. It's a 10. It'd be like a $10 trade on micros, or $20 trade on micros. But the point is that you can take 10, 15 of those a day, net $1.50 per account, and the account gets funded in 20 days, and more importantly, stays funded. That's the key thing. If you're trading very, very small, you have very little risk of losing the funded account, because a lot of people, what they do is they'll trade large, they get the funded account, and they basically lose the funded account right away. What is it? 10 o'clock. We've got news. I see. Let's see what the news is. Ooh, stronger prices paid. Employment stronger. New orders weaker. Interesting. Wow, that's a kick in the balls to the Fed. That's why everything is falling apart. I see. Gold is actually falling hard. It's interesting that the equities are not falling hard, but gold is definitely falling hard, because that's basically showing it that the Fed is going to have a hard time dropping rates even further. Equities, just zero impact on that. Gold is what's falling on this. Interesting. Interesting. Um, Yeah, I may just want to short this on gold just for fun. I wanted to wait a little bit longer. Now it's going to retrace back up. But let's see if sort of like a fun. If this is really a fundamental scalp, it's not a. We're still above the 200, but we really came back down. This really knocked the gold for a loop. I don't know if gold is going to be able to recover, but fundamentals are definitely against the trade. So might as well give it a shot. See if we can make a little coin over here. All right, we'll take 50. We'll take 50 off the. So that was a nice clean 50 off just a pure fundamental trade here on gold. Now it may go down to we'll see if gold just comes back down below trend and stays there for about 10 minutes. Then we'll certainly have a chance of trading it. In the meantime, equities love all of this. Interesting. Equities see this as a service is still booming, price is still rising. Markets really love this big vertical move. We don't have any chance to get in on this trend. It's been running for 20 points up here. You guys short the gold with me or no? Anybody? No? But anyways, going back to my idea of trading small, I'm really becoming convinced that that's your only superpower here in this environment. Just because you the choppiness and the volatility of the markets are brutal, and they absolutely kill you here. Interesting. Huh. Interesting. See, gold is really crushing it to the downside off the news. All right, we had a big move up here. Let's see if Nasdaq can give us a retrace on a buy, or it's just going to top out here. Let's see if there's any more news on the day here. Oh, what's going on? Why can't I do this? Oh. Hey guys, I think I blew myself out of the thread. Hang on a second. Let me just. Sorry, guys. Give me a yes so you guys can see me. Can see my screen. I think I just blew myself out of the stream. So. I was checking and I think I closed out the wrong tab here. Yeah, okay. I'm back. I'm back up now. Yeah, yeah. Sorry about that. I blew myself out of the stream. Um, how's Nasdaq doing? All right, let's put Nasdaq over here into this quadrant. We'll watch S&P here. Let's see if we get any kind of vibe over here. Getting a little bit of a correction move here in Nasdaq. Let's see, and same with the S&P. Let's see if we get any kind of move back here. First half hour of the day. See if there's anything on my Twitter here. ISM 27-month highs. Hmm. All right, getting a green triangle, 45 seconds on Nasdaq. I know you guys are on 10-second delay, so I'm kind of just sort of showing this. By the way, if you guys want the indicator, it's all part of the BK services. I just sent a discount link for you guys over here. So waiting to see. I'm gonna see if this candle completes. My favorite trade would be S&P, but we may do both just for shits and giggles. Oh, I got to go into my TradeRate. I killed my TradeRate as well. All right. Bear with me a second, guys. Here, I got to log into TradeRate. We got 9 seconds left here. Let's see if this. I think I'm going to just try the S&P. All right, so I'm in S&P. Target is 90.75. We'll see if this holds. This is very much at the peak of the move, so I'm probably going to get stopped out on this move here. Yeah, and I thought I would. I'd give it a shot, but you see how much higher this this is buying at the top of the arc. So it's almost natural to think that you're not going to get much more continuity here. So I knew I was going to eat the trade, but I just wanted to take it as part as a setup. If I get another trade, if I get come back again, I think that'll be worthwhile. We're going to keep trading above the trend until it proves us wrong. But clearly buying this thing when it was 30 points up higher, you knew it was just going to be like not a very high probability trade. You want to be buying it in a nice, slow, steady rise. But yeah, my first stop of the day. But let's see if we can repair this thing out as we go forward. I'm watching this green. It's not. I was going to say, it's not a green triangle, but if it was going to end up above the moving average, I would have given it another shot. But so far, no signals here. Looks like we're gonna retrace a little bit here. So what do you guys think about the idea of trading small? I'm actually curious. Trading small, keeping money in reserve, and then trying to repair and keep trying to trade the trades as long as the setup shows itself. In other words, don't let a couple of bad trades just knock you out of the market. It's not exciting on one account, but when you do it on multiple, it's actually it becomes more meaningful. So I'm watching to see if I get any more retraces here. Another interesting market story. I'm actually, I was thinking about doing this, just a totally separate off-topic story. And everybody knows Nvidia, right? Nvidia is pretty much uh, the stalking horse of this market. It's the stock that's driving this market, right? There's a lot of whispers on, and I'm watching. By the way, I'm watching. You see how S&P may be breaking green here. If it breaks green here, got 29 seconds. If it breaks green and stays green, I'll take another trade. I'll give it another shot if it stays green. But if it doesn't, no. So, anyways, there's whispers that Nvidia is fabricating its numbers, and it's doing it by doing the following. You'll take an equity position in a startup that requires lots and lots of chips, right? And then it forces the startup to order like 10 times its equity size or its equity position in Nvidia chips, which Nvidia will then finance. So they put $100 million valuation into the startup. The startup buys $500 million worth of Nvidia chips, but only pays like 5 million of it in actual cash, and then Nvidia finances the rest. But it recognizes the revenue as revenue in that quarter, and that obviously shows massive growth. So the stock goes through the roof. Like if they're doing that, I don't know if they're doing that, but I'm reading a lot of interesting, accounting, that's forensic accounting is accusing them of doing that. That is going to blow up in its face like nobody's business. And if that happens, I think the NASDAQ market itself could easily go down 40% off the highs. It could go from like 20,000 to 10,000 in a heartbeat, and people are just completely unprepared for that. So it's just a thought experiment for 2025. Everybody is super bullish, but this could be one of those unexpected scenarios that can go the other way. All right, nothing going to look at the we're literally trading 1 point a minute. Generally on the S&P, which we like to trade 3 points a minute, right, or 2 points a minute. So very little volatility here, no directionality, not much to do, and we probably should just be sitting here doing nothing much. NASDAQ was 325. It's 278. Let's see. I'm just going to see if NASDAQ peaks itself into the green zone. I may want to just take a punt on this. But So far, it can't seem to get up. Like, the trend that we had up here is really consolidating. Very few buyers left. Gold is really moving down. Yeah, gold got shellacked by that news of much stronger ISM. Yeah, super quiet. Nothing much to do. Here's gold. Gold is actually in a gold now is what started 10:06. It's 10:19. 10 minutes in the downtrend. So gold is definitely worth a look. Watching NAS over here. We're getting green. 22 seconds left. We're gonna give NAS a try if it stays green. See if might be able to get like 5 points out of it. 8 9 seconds left here in NAS. It's got to stay green for us to even take a trade. It's not even a green triangle. I'm just sort of okay. I got long on NAS. 89.75 is the target. Let's see if it can push a little higher here for us. Always, a challenging trade here. What about same with all right, beautiful. So you see that it was super fast. I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to prep you for the S&P because the S&P was also positive. So Nasdaq got done, S&P got done. We stayed true to our thesis that race goes to the race doesn't always go to the swift, but that's the way to bet. And even here, it was super fast. And if you didn't have short targets, it just flipped itself around, right? It's not like this was a super easy trade that went 10 points our way. You just took the 1 point scalp and got out alive. But we stayed true to our thesis, which is the key thing, that we want to trade pretty much to the upside on above the black line, pretty much to the downside below it. Even when the first trade doesn't work, the second trade works. Even when the second trade doesn't work, the third trade should hopefully work. If we are small, then we can overcome anything. If we're small, then size becomes very immaterial, and we can still collect. There was probably, if you think about this, from 8 o'clock till 10 o'clock, there's probably, I don't know, on NASDAQ, there were, one possible trade here. It's really like today was just a really, really shitty day on NASDAQ. But if you're looking at it over here, maybe there's one possible trade here, maybe two. 1, 2, 3 possible trades. NASDAQ. This was a failure. This is a failure. 4 possible trades. 5, maybe 5 possible trades. Would have been like $30-$40 if you're trading micros in a larger size resolve. On the S&P, there was actually 1, 2, 3 quality trades. One did not work. And did this work? 5. Yeah, it's basically there was 5 possible trades in NASDAQ, 5 possible trades in the S&P against a 3-hour time frame, which is really, a really shitty time frame today. Really the worst. Today is like the worst case scenario, and you still could have been able to eke out, if you were doing very, very small trades, $80-$90 on an account. Now that's not exciting, but if you're trading 5 accounts at once, that's $500. You're able to eke out, and you are never ever even remotely coming in to any kind of a danger zone on the drawdown. That's all I'm trying to say. markets don't always give you give you Nvidia did replace Intel in the Dow, which, by the way, like my favorite out of consensus trade. A lot of times, I bet you guys don't notice, but a lot of times the company that gets dumped from the Dow does really well, and the company that gets put into the Dow does really poorly the year after, right? It's kind of like buying the top and selling the bottom. And if you get long the dumper and short the adder, it's actually a great pairs trade. So like my favorite pairs trade for next year is short Nvidia, long Intel, against every possible conventional idea you can possibly imagine. Everybody hates that trade. I think that could be a really interesting trade as a pairs trade. So anyways, all right, guys, we did the best we could today. I still managed to I only one stop out. We had 5 or 6 winners today in scalps. It's a crappy day. Everybody's just waiting to see what's going on. I'm obviously going to be with you guys tomorrow. It'll be fascinating. Maybe we'll have, the best case scenario, there'll be some kind of a landslide one way or the other. At least we'll have some clarity, and we'll see where things stand. But I'm not holding my breath. I'm not holding my breath. In the meantime, I think the key takeaway from all of this is whether we're trading elections or anything else, we might be going into a pretty grinding market. And when you're going into a grinding market, the smaller the size, the better your chance of survival, which is really what it's all about. So I think everybody should consider trading smaller rather than larger on all of these positions. And instead of trying to trade $100 trades, we trade $10 trades. Do them 10 times a day, and call it a day. Anyways, guys, I'll leave you. I gotta go meetings. Everybody have a wonderful day. Hope you guys really enjoyed it. Let me just leave you with a couple of more links. If you want the indicator, please join us over here. And I will be doing coaching today for Pass the Prop. So if you want to join me there, please join me there. Okay. And you see how, again, my point being is that buying the greens above the black line, as buying the uptrend, continues to work. It just continues to work, right? Slow grinding, but it is continuing to work. And this gives us an opportunity here. All right, guys, everybody have a great day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have a result. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.